part 2 of Total Rugby League TV's preview of the round 16 of First Utility Super League, joined by Martyn, Sadler, the editor of League Express. We're going to jump forward 24 hours from Friday just for a moment. We're going to look at the game in the south of France. Catalan Dragons against St Helens. Martyn, St Helens currently top of the league. Can they extend the lead at the top of the Super League, do you think?
Well, they can do. You know, they seem to be coming back to that sort of form that they showed at the start of the season. And the Catalans are still, you know, an up and down sort of a team, aren't they? We don't really know how the Catalans are going to perform, although they tend to perform better at home, fairly obviously. But the Dragons are in 8th place in the table, just ahead of the two Hull clubs.
I think Catalan will be happy being 8th, won't they, after the shocking start to the season? How do you think?
They'll certainly be a lot happier than, you know, many people thought they would be. I've got to say, I thought at the start of the season that they were in real danger of relegation. I thought they were hopeless at the start of the season. They've come back a lot. You know, Leon Price has been playing quite well for them, hasn't he? And it's a formidable place to go. But St Helens, you know, again, we never quite know what we're going to get with Saints. But I would suggest that the Dragons are going to be probably at their best for this game. It looks as though it's going to be a good weekend in Perpignan, and you know the sun's going to be on everybody's backs. And I can certainly see the Dragons coming through and getting a win there.
You talk about Leon Price, he could potentially upset his old club.
Well, he always likes to do that, doesn't he, Leon? And you know, he's still got what it takes as Leon. He's still a very fine player, and at his best, he can cause enormous damage to you know, to anyone really. And you know, then you've got somebody like Eloi Pelissier, who's signed a new contract recently after being linked to several clubs. You know, and I think he's a really exciting young player. And you've got Escaré. I mean, it's going to be really interesting, isn't it? You've got a kid like Escaré playing against, you know, players like Tommy Makinson and so on. You know, lots and lots of pace in this game, and it's really great to know that it's actually on TV for those of us who can't get over to France at the weekend. So it's a real game to look forward to.
On to the battle at the bottom. We're going to jump back to Friday first. Wakefield against London. Martyn, London, is this their last chance today? If they don't win this weekend, is that the dream over for
I think it probably is, if you're really honest about it. You know, so one or two people are saying that, you know, London are you know, this is the one they're primed to win. I find that rather hard to believe. It's going to be James Webster's first game in charge as a new coach. Tim Smith back at the club. I mean, Tim Smith, it never worked out for him at Salford. It was a strange decision in a way to recruit both him and Rangi Chase at Salford, because they, you know, they're both playmakers. They both want to control the team, and both couldn't do. Tim already seems a lot happier back at Wakefield. I mean, he played really well for them last season, and you know, he had I thought a very good partnership with Paul Sykes when he played for Wakefield. That will presumably resume on Friday night. And I think Wakefield will be a bit too strong for London, and I think Wakefield will just about be getting out of trouble with this game. Although, of course, that depends on another game that's going to take place on Sunday.
Yeah, it does. The only game on Sunday this weekend is at the AJ Bell Stadium. Bradford, fresh off having their points deduction upheld by an independent sporting sanctions panel. They go to Salford. If they win this game, they'll only be 5 points behind Salford, and they'll drag them really into the mix. But if they lose and Wakefield win, it's going to be tough, isn't it, for Bradford?
Well, yeah, there's some talk that Bradford are looking at having a judicial review of that, you know, appeal decision. So we might not have heard the last of it yet. Yes, it's going to be a tough one for them, but I do get the feeling that Francis Cummins has been targeting certain games. We saw when Bradford played Wakefield a couple of weeks ago, that the Bulls really upped their game for that game. They knew that was a game they had to win. They then played Warrington in the Challenge Cup and didn't play so well. And, you know, I think for them, survival in Super League, again, they're one of the clubs where survival in Super League is more important, quite frankly, than the Challenge Cup, and that was fairly obvious against Warrington. So I think they could actually put up a real good show against Salford, and Salford will have to be at their best to compete with them. Again, it's interesting with the Reds. They've announced Kevin Locke's going to be coming before the end of the season, although he obviously won't be here for this game. They've let Tim Smith go, and they've let Shannon McPherson go as well. So, you know, it's a bit. We're not quite sure what we're going to get, are we, with Salford this weekend? But I still have said many times that, you know, Salford, with the talent that they've got there, one of these days they're going to give one of their opponents a spanking. And the question is, who will that be? Will it be Bradford this Sunday? I'm not sure, because I think the game will be so hotly contested. It'll be a game that's worth being at. It's the only game on Sunday, which I think is a real shame that we only have one Sunday game. But, you know, it's a game that I think a lot of people ought to get down to, because, you know, it's not on TV, sadly, but it's going to be a really compelling encounter, I think. And I'm sure Dr. Kukash will be biting his nails down to the quick, because as you said, if Bradford do win this game, they'll only be 5 points behind Salford, and that really is going to make it very interesting. And that's before, you know, any judicial review or whatever of that appeal decision. So, you know, so it's been a really interesting weekend, isn't it? 7 very quite compelling games, I think, Aaron, and there are a lot of them that I think we'd all probably like to see.
Yeah, I think we're going to know a lot more about the Super League table and the Super League season after this weekend, both at the top, the race for the playoffs and the race to avoid relegation. Thank you to Martyn Sadler for joining me on Total Rugby League TV, and we'll be back next week with another round of Super League previews.